Wherever you are, wherever you're listening from, you are tuned in to the Daily Huddle. My name is Sorel Ketan. I'm your host. My business partner and co-founder of the Daily Huddle is Giovanni Gonzalez, who's not in today, but will be back next week. You can tune in to the Daily Huddle anywhere you are around the world simply by going to YouTube and searching for the Daily Huddle. Well, folks, today's conversation and today's guest is going to leave you in a place you've never been left before. See, to be a human being is to be defined by what you have, the money you have, the talent you have, the people around you, parents, teachers, mentors, bosses, siblings, the things around you, your education, your experience, what you do for a living. That which you allow to define you brings you pride, joy, fulfillment, all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
All of it, though, can be gone in an instant.
Yes.
Today's episode of the Daily Huddle is an invitation to explore who are you when everything that defines you is lost. My guest today is my dear friend, Gabrielle Antoine. Gabrielle Antoine is a doctoral student in management, organizational behavior, and change management. She's deeply passionate about studying workplace behavior and its impact on mental health and job performance. Gabrielle's unwavering dedication to creating healthier, more transparent work environments is evident in her work. Her relentless efforts and fervor for this subject make her an immense and valuable contributor to the world of entrepreneurs, the world of people in higher education, the world of human beings, period. Gabrielle is also a talented vocalist. She speaks multiple languages and have been in higher education for decades. Good morning, Gabrielle. Welcome to the Daily Huddle.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me, and happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. You know, an introduction like that, written this way, leaves people connected to something. But I assert it probably doesn't leave them connected to the human being you are. If you were going to introduce yourself in your own words to connect to the human beings watching you now, what would you say?
Hello, everyone. I'm Gabrielle Antoine, originally from Haiti, born and raised there. I am here because my voice and what I have to say may help. You may help me in discovering, in inquiring what it's like to be a human being, choosing to live in authenticity and to show up with courage, just the way I am and just the way I'm not. And it's okay.
And that's whether in business, in life, with family, or out on the road with complete strangers at the grocery line, you know? So thank you for being here, Gabrielle. People are going to learn a whole bunch more about you. Not too long ago, you introduced me to a documentary, and I thought introducing the world to it in a conversation with you would make a big difference. So to begin the conversation, I want to play the trailer for this documentary, the conversation that was the catalyst for this conversation. And I invite each of you to listen from your life. So here it goes.
Is the sound man okay? My voice
is the conductor of my life. When your voice brings you joy. I can't wait to fly. Ça va les garçons? Je t'aime. You're the best of yourself. I need my instrument. I'm alive.
Celine.
911, what's your emergency?
I've been diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder, and I wasn't ready to say anything before. But I'm ready now. There were nights when the wind was so cold. I see my life, and I love every piece of it. When a girl loves her shoes, she always make them fit. From 6 to 10, give it to me. I love them. Here we go. I finished crying in the instant naturally. And you record. It sounds great, but when you go on stage, it will be greater. I think we did create our own magic. There were days when the sun was so... It's not hard to do a show, you know. It's hard to cancel a show. I'm working hard every day, but I have to admit, it's been a struggle. I miss it so much. The people. I miss them. If I can't run, I'll walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl. I won't stop. I won't stop. It's all coming back to me.
So the documentary that began the whole thing about this conversation. So this question, who are you when everything that defines you is lost? I want to hear your take on it. Can the things that define us really be lost, or are they simply gone?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good question, because at the end of the day, what I've been struggling with ever since watching this documentary at least 3 times is like, are we ever in possession of something to lose it in the first place? That's the one thing I've been grappling with. And the other one is, when it's gone, what do you do? Is there, because for me, there is that feeling of emptiness, that even grief.
Mm.
And what's there is a complete void. And the way I have looked at it throughout my life is, anything or anyone that I've had or that was in my life, let them go, because it creates a blank canvas for
So
me
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Earlier you said, is there anything in my life that I've ever had to lose?
Yeah.
Are you saying in some way that the car I have, the friends I have, the children I have, the job I have, the business I run, maybe they're not things that I possess?
Indeed.
If they're not things that I possess, what do you say they are?
I would say that those are things for me. I'm a steward of them. And you know how people always say, some people come in your life for a moment, for a season, or for a lifetime. But the idea is that it's not necessarily, I've learned for myself in my transformational journey, is having to understand how to give up what we thought we had. And that's been my inner struggle as a human being. Realizing I never had anything in the first place in order to lose it.
That's a cool perspective, right? So things can come into my life, they can go, and that's just what's happening. It was never mine in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
However, for the time that I'm the steward of it, whether it's my
Mm-hmm.
job, whether it's my business, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
my kids, whether it's my significant other,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the house I live in,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that I'm just a steward of all of that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Because if you recall that big earthquake in Haiti, was it in 2010?
And yeah.
January 12th, 2010. Mind you, I had never planned on being here in America at my
Mm.
age. I've always dreamed of going back home and living in my apartment I had worked so hard for to build brick by brick, right? And in an instant,
It
the
was gone.
house I grew up in, the apartment I've worked so hard for, gone, just like that.
Yeah. Wow. So go back in history a little bit before the house was gone,
Hmm.
before the earthquake.
Hmm.
You were born in Haiti, you were raised there. There were
Hmm.
your parents, your siblings, the environment around you.
Yeah.
Can you create for us what you allowed to define you? What defined you?
What defined me is having a very clear and conscious understanding and self perception, letting me know that I belonged
Mm.
to exactly to a specific middle class. That
Were there
was
things your father and mother used to say that actually cemented the definition for you?
what they used to say, but what they did as well. My
Mm.
mother was the first woman minister of finance in Haiti.
Yeah.
My father, he was the assistant chief of police. He also was the director of the narcotics unit. So and and so on. Michelle Bennett, her mom Aurore. We always got together at Sainte Trinité, that
What
Episcopalian church where we grew up. So yeah.
how did that leave you for yourself? Like if you were to say it in one phrase, I am and fill in the blanks.
Looking back at that time, I am privileged.
Mm.
I am blessed. I am guided. I am supported. And I am a global citizen.
And if you had a word that encapsulates all of that for you, like who were
Uh-huh.
you for yourself?
I believe that my parents created what I refer to as la grande dame.
That's a French term, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to translate that French term for everyone who may not speak French, what is a grande dame? How would you qualify and describe that person?
She has class. She is educated. When she walks into a room, everyone wants to be around her. She is kind and she chooses her words very carefully.
That is
Mhm.
what the people around you and the things around you, what you had, what you didn't have. That's how that defined you. And Florence added to it. Florence says, she's a diva.
You see?
So now earthquake happens and you
Uh-huh.
leave Haiti. So to be a human being is to be defined by things, circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
your education, your experience, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a human being is to embrace that definition and
Uh-huh.
live as it, right? So you live as a grande dame, and boom, in a moment, seemingly all of it is gone. You're no longer living in Haiti. What
Uh-huh.
was it? Similar to Celine Dion,
Uh-huh.
Celine had this voice. And then suddenly she was diagnosed with stiff
Uh-huh.
person syndrome.
Uh-huh.
And the voice she had that defined her for the
Mm-hmm.
world and for herself was gone.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What was that thing for you that was gone, that created the loss of something maybe you thought you had possession of, but really
Um,
what was the big loss?
the big loss, I would call it a gain because that was an opportunity for me to get away from being quote unquote the colonel's daughter. Oh, this
Well,
is
just
so and
say,
so's daughter.
was it an event that was
Yeah,
a gain for you? What
yeah.
was that gain for you?
When my father lost his job, I remember observing we went from having 5 cars in our garage, 2 garages. We had 2 garages on either side of the house. Which okay, and we had 5 cars. And you woke up one day and there's only one left. And that's a clear illustration of what it's like to lose things, material possessions. But the content of your character, the person that my parents had striven to raise, that inner being, always seeking her voice in the world, it was a major wake up call for me at that time. And I
Mm.
was in my teens.
And in the wake of that, how did you rebuild you?
I'm not so sure there was anything to rebuild, rather
Well,
other things to discover.
well, let me ask the question differently.
Hmm.
What did you have to go accomplish to continue to be the grande dame after all of that?
And that's the thing, being a grande dame, or like Florence said, a diva, it's not necessarily the things you do. It's my
No,
way,
but I'd
you
love
know,
for the world to know what you did. There
what
you
did I,
were.
uh-huh.
Everything's gone. You only have one car in the garage.
I
So
know.
how did you live after that?
And can I
What
tell
did you
you,
do?
I was glad it was the Beamer that was left, okay?
What a diva.
So, so there was still a sense of relief. Oh, okay, that one is here. Oh, that one is ours. Okay, we get to keep that. So to keep running that conversation or that narrative, that voice, that la grande dame, like, okay, my father lost his job. My mom is still working. She's still thriving, you know, because my mom is a CPA. She's now retired, but she's also an attorney. Okay. So it's kind of like, oh, and I will say that in Creole, Kishanap bat katla. I don't know how to say that in English.
How do you
If possible,
reshuffle the deck? When
that's it.
the house
Thank
of
you.
cards
Yes.
crumbles, how do you reshuffle the deck? Now, pause for
Yes.
a moment, folks. However you're participating in this conversation, this question is for you. When the house of cards falls apart, how do you reshuffle the deck? So, Gabrielle, how
Uh-huh.
did you reshuffle the deck?
It took a lot of grace, patience, and also understanding that the cars didn't define who I was. Um, and I started using my name more
Hmm?
and saying I'm Gabrielle Antoine instead of I'm the colonel's daughter. So at that age in my teen years, right? At least I had that self image,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that the person that I choose to be, how I choose to show up in the world, was not conditional to material things. And this is something that has stayed with me throughout my life. When you grow up with money, when you grow up comfortably, you realize that money is just a tool. It cannot define the human being that I am, whether I have too much of it or not enough of it. My inner being is unwavering because of what our parents instilled in us, a global perspective. You know, they raised global citizens. They did. And I will give them the credit for that. So,
Wow.
in a way, they had prepared me to embrace whatever life would throw at me.
Yeah. Well, time flies on the Daily Huddle, and I want to make sure people who are here get to chat with you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to ask Gabrielle a question or make a comment, go ahead and raise your hand or just turn your mic on and come on.
So, Gabrielle, I'd like to ask, first of all, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the Daily Huddle family. After making the, I would say, adjustment that allowed you to just depend upon or to live according to the person you were at the core of your being,
Uh-huh.
how would you say that was there anything specifically that you felt like was a core thing that you really had to stick to, that you would say this is the main thing you do, that you stick to as a core road to travel, so to speak?
The one thing that I stuck to was, for me, kindness,
Mm,
courage,
mm,
resilience, determination, and really understanding the value of getting a college education.
mm.
Because I'm one of those people who believes that when you change what people know, you can change what people do. And for me specifically, I came to the USA mostly to go to college. I went back home at some point, and what was there for me was the ability to reclaim my social status, right? Being the food and beverage manager at a very prominent hotel property. Um, I've worked for a major university for 8 years as their senior global education consultant, traveling the world, meeting with governors, dining with them, lunching with them. I've done all of that, right? And I realized how easy it was for that diva, la grande dame, to always find a way to create that space where she is validated. I'm in my 15s now, and La Grande Dame still runs the show. And when La Grande Dame, or the diva, like Florence says, runs the show, who am I to myself and who am I to others? The diva doesn't necessarily mean that it's the way you look, the way you dress. For me, the diva was created a long time ago, and that was in Haiti. The way I grew up and the person that I choose to be today is a person who has been working through a personal transformation to recognize who's running my life. Is it the 12 years old? Is it the 16-year-old? Which one? Because, like Sorrel and Gio Gonzalez have shared that idea of a blueprint, it's so tough to let go of that blueprint. because it's like a mold. And we always somehow consciously or subconsciously want to still fit it, even when it's no longer relevant.
Thank you, Stan. So to bring it back to the hard work that Celine Dion is doing now, to be back on stage, be back behind the microphone. Having watched this documentary 3 times, what lessons did you draw from it? And what do you want to say from these lessons to close today's episode?
Number one, when she says that my voice is my instrument, I always say that myself. And she says, my voice is the conductor, the leader of my life. So I asked myself, so what is driving your life, Gabby? So I had such clarity, and I urge everyone to have that clarity for themselves. What is running your life? And number two, what I've learned is that family is the most important thing we have on this earth. And I've also learned from that documentary that I cannot wait on others to feed me joy, to find my joy. I have to find it from within. It is an inside out process. Like that famous ballerina I used to say, Isadora Duncan, it is an inside out process. And also, I've learned the power to let go. And often, the way we think that people perceive us, let me put it in the first person. The way I think others perceive me is often so skewed, I can be completely off. But most of all, I understood that my life is not my own. I am here to educate, to learn, to share, to grow, to transform. Because this life we're living, it can be challenging at times. And attitude is a choice. And tell the people you love that you love them.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with us. Well, thank you for pointing me to this documentary. And thank you for creating the occasion for us to share the lessons from it. So, folks, to be human is to be defined by something, anything. And many, and I invite you to choose to give yourself the gift of seeing what defines you.
Yes.
Because once you can see it, then you can separate yourself from it and be someone who's like, I'm a steward of my brain. I'm a steward of my business. I'm a steward of this. I'm a steward of that. So it can come, it can go. And you can be the space through which life flows. So,
indeed.
Florence, go ahead. Florence, you're on mute.
The thing that defines you. And I have not seen the documentary for Celine Dion, and I was not in the space earlier, early, so I didn't even see it today either. I mean, but anyway, what I have known about myself, because my life has been like, I have wondered for almost, well, 50 what, 50 something years, I've wondered, well, when is my turn going to come? And when I was young, I had a plan for my life. And I decided what age I was going to be when I got this degree. And then I was going to have like 2 degrees, and I was going to get married then and have a certain amount of children and all of this. And none of this happened. However, there's one core thing that I've found that has kept me to this day, and kept me, because I've come to decide I'm going to be a conduit of God's love. I'm going to be a conduit of God's love, of joy. And then so my seeking has been like, okay, how am I going to be a conduit of that joy if I am not embodying that joy too? So my seeking has been to seek God, who is, like, I feel that's the author of this joy. So my constant seeking in whatever situation I was enduring is, where is God, or what, or how am I relating with my source throughout everything? And that, for me, when I lost this, when I was deserted as a young mother, and when whatever, that seeking to be this conduit of joy has been my thing. So I don't know what is Celine's, like, what's that for Celine, but I would like to look at the documentary and see, like, how does whatever she is experiencing relate to what I have gone through in my life. By the way, at this point, I am that conduit of joy.
And that is a powerful place to stand. And there is also a certain level of authenticity when we choose to express our love for ourselves and for others, and to others, and through others. That is a powerful way for me to do life at this point. And I am completely unapologetic. The way I am, the way I'm not.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Gabrielle. We'll end the show on this note, as we always do. Live and laugh out loud. Love deeply. Stress less. The next time you think about putting a hamburger with 10 times the bacon on it, choose some spinach, for God's sake. Give of yourself, give of everything you have.
Yeah.
Sleep well, get some rest, move your body. And last but not least, check your assumptions. And one major assumption we're inviting you to check today is, do you own anything? Or are you just the steward of everything in your life? Perhaps your answer to that question will reveal to you who you are when everything that defines you is lost. This is our show. Follow the Daily Huddle on YouTube and come back here, right here on Zoom, every Monday through Friday. I love you. Giovanni loves you more. And all the other hosts of the Daily Huddle love you the best. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.